Good afternoon, everyone. We're back today for episode 2. Episode 2 will be focusing on the 2016-2017 Flames roster. Now, we're going to predict, starting from forwards, working our way to goaltending, with how the roster will shake down in my eyes. Now, we're going to begin up front with the forwards. We're going to start with the first line, and we'll talk about a few things involving the forwards. So, penciling in on my left wing on the first line, we have Calgary's favorite son, Johnny Gaudreau. Now, not much to be surprised about here. Johnny Gaudreau coming off his best season in the NHL in his second year, leading the Flames in points and being top 10 in NHL scoring. Not a whole lot to be debated there. Centering him on that line will be Calgary's 6th overall pick in the 2013 draft, Sean Monahan. Coming off another solid season on the Flames' first-line center. Monahan will be welcoming a new line mate with his buddy Johnny. That is the newly acquired Troy Brouwer in free agency from the St. Louis Blues. Now, Troy Brouwer, a veteran in the NHL, a Stanley Cup winner with the Chicago Blackhawks in 2010. He's got some size to him. 6'3", 213 pounds. Troy Brouwer is going to bring a lot to the Flames. He's going to bring leadership, experience, and an ability to put the puck in at a timely manner. He scores a lot of big goals. He's not. Don't kid ourselves here. He's not a guy who's going to go in there and score 30 goals, but he's a guy who's going to be counted on to provide leadership and guidance for the young guys. And he'll chip in offensively while he can, and he's going to create a lot more space out there on the ice for Monahan and Gaudreau on that top line. Now, I don't know if he's going to last long-term, that top line with those two guys, but we'll see. I definitely think when the season starts, he'll be there. So, Troy Brouwer will start on the first line right wing. Okay, now moving on to our second line. Now, here's a bold prediction I have. On our second line left wing, I got the recently drafted 18-year-old kid from the London Knights, Matthew Tkachuk, drafted 6th overall just this past June. Now, just like Monahan 3 seasons ago, I believe Tkachuk will burst into the NHL and play as an 18-year-old. Now, Tkachuk, similar to Monahan, he has an NHL-ready body. Now, he's 6'2", 200 pounds. That's NHL size. That's NHL size and ready to go at 18 years old. That's what we want. Now, Tkachuk, his dad, Keith Tkachuk, a legend in the NHL, over 1,000 games played, over 1,000 points, 500 goals. So, he has it in him and in his genes with his family. So, I'm expecting big things from Tkachuk. The Flames will give him that 9-game trial at the start of the season, and I believe he'll prove that he belongs in the NHL right out of juniors. So, I got him penciled in on the second line as left winger, and he'll be centered by Michael Backlund, number 11. Now, a lot of you would say, why not Bennett? Well, Backlund, he's earned his role. Okay, Backlund's a veteran on this team now. He's played in the NHL for, the past 5-6 seasons here. He's drafted 2007. He's a veteran on this team. Plays a great two-way game, great in the defensive zone, great on face-offs, and, he's shown that he can contribute offensively as well. So, he's going to help Tkachuk. Tkachuk's an offensively skilled guy, so he's going to help him produce, and Backlund's going to also benefit as Tkachuk's a pretty elite level player with lots of skills. So that's a good 1-2 tandem on that second line. On the right wing on that second line is second year with the Flames, acquired from the Winnipeg Jets in free agency last season, Michael Frolik. He'll play right wing on that second line. Frolik's an interesting case. He plays a similar game as Backlund, very two-way minded, great in the defensive zone, battles on every shift, goes hard in the corners, and can chip in offensively when needed. So, under Hartley, Frolik wasn't utilized great, as I mentioned in my first video. I think with the new coach, Glenn Gulutzan, Frolik's going to get a lot more playing time and a lot more key situations to show what he really can do, and he'll prove that he's worth what his contract was given to him. So Frolik's going to benefit on that line, and hopefully he just gets some stability playing with the same line mates instead of flip-flopping his way through the lineup like last season. So expecting a lot from Frolik, and that's the second line. So now I dive into the bottom 6 on forwards. So starting with our third line, I got on left wing, number 79, Michael Ferland. Good left-handed shot, big body presence, plays physical, plays aggressive. A lot to like in Ferland's game. He's still young. he's still learning how to score at the NHL level. Let's not forget this guy in junior with the Brandon Wheat Kings almost had 50 goals. So, there's no stranger to scoring goals. It just hasn't translated at the NHL level yet. And I think this is the year he breaks out. Ferland, he'll be on a line with second-year full-time player, Sam Bennett, in his last year of his entry-level contract. Sam Bennett's finally going to get that chance to play center. Now, yeah, it is on the third line, but you know what? There's no third line in the NHL doesn't mean that he's not offensively minded. There's teams in the NHL nowadays need to have 4 lines that can score and play. So Sam Bennett being on the third line is not a slash to him. And he's got a benefit. He's going to be playing with some highly skilled guys. Now, Ferland, you may think, oh, he's just a grinder. Well, actually, no, he's not. He can score, he can contribute offensively, and he generates a lot of chances. So using his big frame on the left wing, that'll create a lot more space for Bennett. And I think this line will actually be pretty effective. Sam Bennett, obviously a very highly touted offensive player back in his junior days in the OHL with the Kingston Frontenacs. Bennett, fourth overall pick in the draft in 2014. So a lot to be desired with Bennett, and he's gonna settle in. He's looking to be more consistent in his second year of full-time duty in the NHL, and I think he'll get to that point. He's a hard-working guy. He's determined, and he'll really get the Flames fans to adore him and show what he can do as a highly drafted player. On that right wing now, coming over in a trade from the Vancouver Canucks late last season at the trade deadline, or just before. Hunter Shinkaruk coming over in a trade for Marcus Granlund. Hunter Shinkaruk, highly touted player back in junior, played with the Medicine Hat Tigers, a good local kid from Calgary. He's excited to be here, and Vancouver, they gave up on him too fast, quite frankly. They said he wasn't going to make their team ever, and they shipped him off for a guy who the Flames had who was really never going to play more than, limited minutes. So it was a good deal for the Flames, and Shinkaruk, he's a good Calgary boy, and he's looking like he's going to earn a spot for the first time in his career on the NHL roster. So he's a natural center, but I got him in on the right wing. Now, he played on the wing towards the end of last season when he got called up, and he was producing, quite rapidly and quite a lot more than what we expected as Flames fans. So, Shinkaruk, he's a goal scorer. Let's not kid ourselves. He's not known for his defensive play, which is something that's a little bit of a concern, but I'm pretty sure the Flames coaching staff can work with him on that. But Shinkaruk, he's brought in here to provide a spark. He's a young guy. He'd be playing with 2 young guys, and Bennett, who's only 20 years old, and Ferland, who's, I think, 23, 24. So pretty young guys here, and Shinkaruk's going to thrive on that line, I believe. So that's a solid third line for the Flames, and that provides some added scoring depth. Moving on to our fourth line. On our left wing now, I got Lance Boma playing left wing, number 17. Lance Boma coming off a pretty frustrating season. He had 2 major injuries. He missed over 35 games with a broken fibula and a hand injury. Not able to play to his potential. Was pretty disappointed in his game last year. So I got him at a little bit of a limited role now with the Flames coming into this coming season. He'll be playing on the fourth line, I believe, to start at left wing. But you know what? This guy, he can be an effective fourth liner. He can still skate pretty well for a bottom depth kind of player. Knows how to throw his weight around, knows how to block shots, knows how to provide that spark when you need it. But he wasn't playing like that last year. But if you can get back to that for the Flames this coming season, well, that's all we can ask for this guy. I think he's a little bit overpaid, but he's on the last year of his deal, and if he wants to show that he belongs with the Flames and he wants to earn that money, he's going to have a big year. So we'll see what we get out of Boma, and that's what we have him as, fourth line left winger. His center on that line, a veteran, Matt Stajan. Played in this league for a long time, came over in the trade from the Leafs. Matt Stajan, he's established himself here in Calgary as just a nice depth player who can play up and down the lineup. Good center, a good two-way game, defends well, and wins a lot of face-offs. That gives this lineup some stability and ability to play in key situations. This guy can be counted on to win a key face-off or kill a penalty or win a key defensive zone face-off. So Matt Stajan, what you get with him. You get a guy who works hard every day, plays hard, plays the game the right way, and with a couple years left on his deal, he's a good fourth line center for the Flames. On right wing, now another guy just came over in a trade from the Ottawa Senators a few weeks ago, Alex Chiasson. Alex Chiasson, he broke in the league with the Dallas Stars a couple years ago. Played under the new coach of the Flames, Galitzan, in Dallas. And he came out as a rookie, and he was really good at coming out of the gates. He put the puck in the net. Everyone was thinking, oh, who is this kid? He's lighting it up. And he was. In his second season with the Stars, he was pretty consistent for a second-year guy in the league. And then, Jason Spezza got traded to Dallas, and Chiasson went the other way to Ottawa. And that's where he kind of slowed down under Ottawa. He wasn't really fitting into their system. The coaches, I wouldn't say they didn't like him, but they didn't trust him as enough as he did in Dallas, and he kind of fell down the depth chart there in Ottawa, and his production kind of declined. Still a young guy. Now, what the Flames, with the big key thing here with this acquisition is he's a big body, right-handed shot, and a lot of potential still in this guy. He's young, he's not washed up or anything like that, so this is a good acquisition. I believe he'll slot in to start on this team on the fourth line, playing with Stajan and Boma. And, I would not be surprised if he works his way up through the lineup. He has potential to score, and, a change of scenery could reinvigorate his game. So that's our rounding out our fourth line. We got Boma, Stajan, and Chiasson. All right, our extra forwards now just coming in with I got two guys now. Obviously, we can only have one on the team. But this will be a battle. I got a few other names to mention after this. First guy I got as an extra forward, signed a few weeks ago on a two-way deal from the Vancouver Canucks. Lyndon Vey. Now he has ties to the Calgary area. He's got a lot of issues going on in his personal life with his parents. Been a little taking his toll on him in Vancouver. Under Willie Desjardins, he was kind of floating around the depth chart. Kind of started off pretty high and just continued to spiral out of control, where he was almost getting limited minutes a night. So, Lyndon Vey played with the LA Kings, played with Vancouver Canucks. He's got a little bit of upside. It's a low-risk signing. He's not paid much. Two-way deal, so if he does struggle, he can be sent down to the minors at a low cost. So it's not going to cost the Flames much if he doesn't perform. But he does have some upside. It's a low-risk signing for the Flames, and he can provide some depth. I certainly believe, if there's an injury up front, he could step in and fill the void. The last extra player I got, an NHL veteran, we all know him, Brandon Bollig, Stanley Cup winner with the Chicago Blackhawks back in his days in Chicago. Bollig coming in with his third season with the Flames now. You don't get a lot with Bollig. You get a guy who just there, he's just there. It's fortunately to say, he's not going to score. Maybe he'll get 1 or 2 goals a season. Occasional fight, but you get a guy who's good in the locker room. He's good with the young guys, but looking back on, I think Brad Treliving doesn't really think fondly of this acquisition and at the draft a few years ago. So, Bollig, there's a high chance he is on the opening day roster just due to his contract, and if the Flames don't want to bury it in the minors, well then he's gonna have to stay with the big club. But more often than not, if the Flames are in the playoff race, I don't think they want this guy taking up any ice time from the young guys who are more than capable of playing at a higher level than Bollig. So Bollig's an extra right now on the roster, but don't be surprised if he ends up in Stockton in the American Hockey League. So that's the book on forwards. That's how I see it shaking down. I'll recap for you. Our first line, I got Gaudreau, Monahan, Brouwer. Second line, Kachuk, Backlund, Frolik. Third line, Ferland, Bennett, Shinkarik. Fourth line, Boma, Stajan, and Chiasson, with Vey and Bollig as our extras. Now I got 4 prospects who have some NHL experience who I think could challenge for a spot on the roster. And I don't think these guys, I don't know if they'll make it, but I've got 4 guys who I think will have a good shot. Now I'll start with Freddie Hamilton, brother of Dougie Hamilton, acquired in a trade from the Avalanche last season. Freddie Hamilton ended up playing a few games for the Flames at the end of the season last year, chipping in a couple goals, couple points. He's 24 years old. He's a right-handed shot, a natural center, so I don't know where he fits in on the Flames depth chart. Obviously, they're pretty set down the middle and center, but, always looking for added depth on the wing. I think Hamilton can adapt to playing any position. He's 24 years old. He's not young anymore, but he's got 33 games NHL experience playing with the San Jose Sharks, Colorado Avalanche, and, of course, the Flames last year. He's a 5th-round pick, 129th overall. And, this guy's underrated. He's a really highly touted player in junior. He was on the Canadian junior team in the 2012 World Juniors, playing with his brother Dougie. And, he's been a career minor leaguer so far. He's been almost a point per game guy in the American Hockey League. He hasn't really had a shot to, earn an NHL spot. But I think with the Flames organization and how much they love Dougie Hamilton, I think he'll be given a really good shot. However, I don't think he should make the team per se. I think there's a few guys ahead of him who are more deserving. And I'll get to those guys next. Now, next guy I got, right winger, 24 years old as well, Garnet Hathaway. Now, a good local Alberta kid. Came up with the Flames last year as well towards the end of the year, and I thought he was excellent. He provides energy, goes out there every shift. He's not afraid to bang bodies, get in the corners, and challenge the league's best players. Remember that game against San Jose at the end of the year where he took on Brent Burns? That takes balls as a kid. Coming into the league, very limited hockey or NHL experience, and he go out there with nothing to lose. That's what we like to see as Calgary Flames fans. I think he could challenge for a spot. If you had to pick between him and Bollig, I think Hathaway blows Bollig away. He's younger, faster, better skater, more offensive upside. Played with the Flames 14 games last season, chipping in 3 assists. And for an undrafted player, this is all you can ask for. It's a good story if he can come out and make the team. So looking forward to see what he can do in training camp. 2 more guys we're going to talk about on forwards who might have a chance of making the team. First of all, first guy drafted in the first round a couple years ago, Emile Poirier, the French guy, coming off a really disappointing season in the American Hockey League. He had a few injuries, but came back and was just sluggish out there. Didn't really do a whole lot compared to his prior season. And this guy has a lot to prove. The patience is wearing thin with the Flames management. This guy, a pretty high draft pick, 22nd overall in the first round. Lit it up in his junior days in the QMJHL, and Poirier's gonna need to impress. He's on a short leash, so I'm sure he's hungry and determined. He plays an aggressive style of game, so we're looking forward to see what he can do in training camp. Now our last guy. Now, in the Flames fan base out there, there's a lot of guys who like this prospect, a lot of guys who think it's an absolute joke. Now that's Mark Jankowski, playing over in Union College the last 3-4 seasons. Mark Jankowski was drafted in 2012 by Jay Feaster, first round draft pick, 21st overall. Never played in the NHL, and he did play with the Stockton Heat last season and chipped in quite well. He was one of their better forwards. Jankowski, when he was drafted, was a tall kid, but no meat on his bones. He was pretty small, but he's worked his way up. He's trained hard. He's put on a lot of muscle. He's weighing at over 200 pounds now, and he's 6'4", so he's a big body. Definitely NHL-sized body. Reminds me a bit of Joel Colburn. And, this guy, he's publicly said he wants to make the NHL team right away, even with no NHL experience and limited AHL experience. Now, I think that's a little bit far-fetched, to be quite honest. Obviously this kid, he's not young. He's kind of young, but he's 21. But I don't think he's NHL ready yet. I think a year in the minors will do him a lot of good. Let him develop his game a bit more. And obviously, if there's a lot of injuries up front, he could be a guy that you look to call up. He's hungry, though, and he wants to do it, so we'll see what happens in training camp. That's my 4 guys who I think can challenge for a spot up front on forwards for the Flames. So moving on now. We just got to discuss a few things up front on what I think of the Flames. First thing being, do I believe Troy Brouwer can play in the top line? I do, but I got a few concerns on this guy. He's not young. He's going to be 31 next month. Playing with Sean Monahan, who's going to be 21 years old, or 22, I believe. And Johnny Gaudreau is 21, 22 as well. So 2 young guys in the early stages of their career. A lot faster, a little bit more skilled than Brouwer. Can he keep up? Well, Brouwer's played on a lot of good teams in his career. He's played on the Blackhawks when they won that cup. He played with St. Louis last year. St. Louis every year continues to be one of the better teams in the league. So Brouwer's no stranger to playing good hockey on good teams. He's never really had the first line role though, so that's a little bit of a question mark. But I think these players will reinvigorate his career and give him that added energy that he needs to continue on and playing well. So I do believe Brouwer can play in the top line. So that's my conclusion there. And as I mentioned earlier, Tkachuk, I do believe he will make the team. A lot of guys are saying, is he like Monahan, or what's the story there? I think he's very similar to Monahan, if not, a little bit better almost. I don't know if he has the same overall hockey sense as Monahan and ability to play in all three zones just quite yet, but I think he's in a similar situation. He's a little more aggressive than Monahan. He plays well with really good players. That's what's going to help him out here. The ability to step into a situation and play with some elite players, and that's the book on Tkachuk. His dad, Hall of Famer basically, Keith Tkachuk, and Tkachuk's played a lot of hockey over the last year. He played on the London Knights. They won the OHL title as well as the Memorial Cup, and Tkachuk played with the United States in the World Juniors. So he's played a lot of key hockey games. He's played on a lot of high intense, high pressure games. So he's no stranger to the pressure. I think he's really determined to do it and show what he can do for the Flames. And what helps with the Flames is Brad Treliving's really high on this guy. He already wants some plans, so that's important too. I think he's going to get every look, and he'll definitely get that 9-game tryout at the start of the season to try to make the squad full time. So it's a book on Tkachuk. And now I'm going to talk about Brandon Bollig again. I do believe he ends up in the AHL. This guy, he's had every opportunity. The game's evolving. It's getting faster every season, and Bollig just won't be able to keep up anymore. And the Flames, a young team, a lot of young prospects and players who are ready to play in the NHL now. So Bollig, he's gone. He's going to be in the minors hopefully by December. I do like the guy. I think he's a beauty, but he's holding the Flames back if he's playing. So Bollig will be with the Stockton Heat, and that'll be the book on Bollig. Now I'm going to talk to you about a couple players who I think are going to break out for the Flames, and a couple players who we won't be too happy with. And the first guy, I think, the leading breakout candidate for the Flames will be Michael Ferland. Now, Michael Ferland, last season only had 4 goals. Now you think, that's just not very good. Well, let's not kid ourselves here. Ferland, he doesn't have the best hands out there. He's not a guy, he's not Monahan, he's not Gaudreau, but you know what this guy is? He's a spark, all right? He's a spark plug out there. He'll drive the net, he'll bang bodies, he'll create scoring chances. And last year he had absolutely no puck luck. Many times you'd watch a game, you think, oh, he's going to score, and then he'd lose the puck somehow, or the goalie would make an unbelievable save. He had no puck luck last year. That's why he had 4 goals. Honestly, he could have had close to 20. I'm not even afraid of saying that. That's how many scoring chances he had. Now, I think Ferland's going to break out big time, and Flames are going to be quite happy with this guy. A lot of Calgary fans love the guy in the 2015 playoff run. You're going to love him even more now. If he's going to be playing physical, he's going to be chipping in offensively, and this guy's going to be a hero with the local fan base. So that's my breakout candidate for forward. One guy who thinks going to take a bit of a step back for the Flames here is going to be Matt Stajan, unfortunately. Now, he's getting up there in age. He's NHL veteran, playing 4th-line minutes. He's going to be out there working hard. He's going to turn into a Craig Conroy type situation. The guy's heart's in it. He wants to play for the city. He wants the Flames to win, but his game's just going to deteriorate a little bit, unfortunately, I have to say. But, it had to be one guy I had to pick, and out of this Flames roster, it's Stajan. So, all the best to Stajan, but you know what? We're not going to expect too much from him. I just hope he continues to work hard and really wear the Flaming C proud on his chest each and every night. So that's my leading candidate to slump next season for the Flames on forwards. Okay, now we're moving on to the defensemen. So, our defensemen, not a lot of movement on the Flames D front in the offseason. Not yet, anyway. So our first pairing, I got our captain, Mark Giordano, playing on the left side. He's a left-handed shot. He's played there the last few years. He's really shown that he's Calgary's one of their top defensemen. I think TJ Brody's the top guy, but Giordano, he's the captain. He's a heart and soul guy, and he'll play on the first pairing with his good buddy TJ Brody. Now these guys are both left-handed shots. Now you may wonder, well, how does that work? Well, these two guys are one of the best pairings in the NHL, league-wide. You know, they're known. Like Giordano Brody, Brodano as I call them. These guys are excellent together. They just know where each other go on the ice. You know, they work well, they communicate well. And it's just a pairing that you just feel safe out there within the ice. You know that they're very rarely going to get scored on. So that's our first pairing. Really no surprises there. Second pairing on the left side, I got recently acquired in the trade deadline from the Dallas Stars. I got number 3, Jyrki Jokipaka. Now this guy, he's young. He's a lot of potential with this guy. Now he's not an offensive defenseman. He's not very flashy out there. But what he is a smooth skater. You know, he can move that puck well. He's responsible in his own end. And he really helps out the guy he's playing with. So Jokipaka will slot in with Dougie Hamilton on the second pairing. Jokipaka's left-handed shot and Dougie Hamilton's a right-handed shot, so that works out nicely. Dougie, obviously, the book on him, he's a big body, 6'6". You know, he's not overly physical, but he's offensively minded. You know, he wants to jump up in the rush when he can. Not afraid to score goals and not afraid to make plays. So Dougie Hamilton, I think, he's really settled in with Calgary, and he'll help that second pairing and on the power play as well. Our third pairing, this is where it gets a little interesting. There's a few scenarios. Right now, you know, I hate to say it, you know, a lot of Flames fans have lost respect for this guy, but right now in the third pairing, I have number 6, pencil in, Dennis Wideman. Wideman involved in that situation with the linesman last January. You know, his reputation kind of got tarnished. He's having an awful season before then, and, you know, it just wasn't his year. But, you know, given the fact that he's paid so much, there's not many teams in the NHL that want to take on his contract. You know, and also for a guy who can hardly skate anymore, and his offensive contribution's gone out the window. It's just, you know, it's just a hard sell to get any team to trade for him. So I got him penciled in on our third pairing with number 29, Derek Engelland. Now, Derek Engelland, maybe you may think, oh, this guy, he's pretty useless out there. He's slow. He can't move his feet. Well, you know, honestly, Derek Engelland's really improved in his 2 years with the Flames here. He went from being a pylon out there and getting scored on almost every shift to a guy who really works hard, really battles in his own zone and works his hardest to, you know, get that puck out of the zone and up to the forwards. He finished last season with a positive plus-minus rating, and that's incredible considering how many times he was scored on in the 2014-15 season. So Derek Engelland also chipped in 12 points as a defenseman, so that's pretty good for a third pairing guy, playing, you know, 12 to 15 minutes a night, if that. So good on Engelland. I think he's earned his spot on that third pairing. He may be rotated in and out of the lineup here, depending on who the Flames have on their blue line. You know, there's a few guys who I think are ready to jump up and play. So I'm gonna get that now. Starting with Tyler Wotherspoon. Now Wotherspoon, you know, a second-round pick with the Flames a few years ago. He's 23 years old now. Wotherspoon was a pretty highly touted defenseman and junior, playing on the Canadian junior team. He's played in 26 games for the Flames, picking up 5 points, no goals, 5 assists, 5 points. He also has some playoff experience playing with the Flames in their series with the Canucks and the Ducks in the 2015 playoffs. So Wotherspoon, you know, he's really calm out there. He's really relaxed. Under Bob Hartley, you know, I would have to guess he wasn't a fan of him. He didn't really trust him a whole lot. Didn't play him a lot. You know, for a young guy like this, you got to play him. You know, you can't sit him on the bench with the big club. You got to play him. So, you know, if the Flames still have Wideman, you know, I could see Wotherspoon bumping Engelland out of that third pairing spot, or even Wideman becomes the guy who sits. Now, quite frankly, Wideman, he's done it to himself. You know, he's looked like crap out there. You know, he's had personal issues. He's, you know, given himself an awful reputation with the NHL referees and the NHL itself. So Wideman, he's 33 years old. His days in the NHL could be coming to an end. You know, he still has some value, but very limited. So Wotherspoon could push him out and play with Engelland. You know, I think Engelland deserves a chance to be playing on that third pairing. You know, this guy's a journeyman. He's worked his way through every level of the league, or every level of hockey, and he's earned a spot. So Wotherspoon, I do believe he ends up on the Flames opening night roster, whether it is a top 6 role or he's a spare defenseman. It will be on that opening night roster. Now here's where it gets a little interested. We got a few situations here. Ladislav Schmid, has one more year left on his contract. He's got some really severe injuries. He's got a neck injury that, some say are going to be the end of his NHL career. That's how bad it is. And quite frankly, for a lot of Flames fans, as bad as it sounds, it's almost a blessing for this guy. This guy carries a very high salary, a large cap hit. And, he's really not that good out there. He's almost a liability at times. He's never really been able to find his legs the last few years due to all his injuries. And for a guy who's paid $3.5 million per year, that guy not being counted against the salary cap is a blessing for the Flames. And it also opens up a spot for a few of the young guys. And another guy signed in the offseason last year from the Czech Republic, Jakub Nakladal. And Nakladal, he's an older guy, but he's got some size and he has a really good shot. Now, this guy's not signed yet. He wants to come back with the Flames. He's said that publicly. Brad Treliving has acknowledged that they're trying to work something out, but I just don't believe he'll get signed until the long-term deals of Monahan and Gaudreau are done, which hopefully are within the next few weeks here. But Nakladal, he definitely earned a contract, but depending on how much Monahan and Gaudreau get paid, he may become expendable, and Nakladal might have to be let go. So it's a little bit unfortunate. In a perfect world, I'd wish the Flames would trade Wideman out of here and open up some spot for the young guys. And Nakladal, hopefully. Nakladal, he'd come cheap. He'd be, say, $1.2 million or less, hopefully. But given the limited cap room and due to the bulk of that being going to be used for Monahan and Gaudreau, his contract may become expendable. Another guy I got who could make the team, who actually made the team last year out of training camp after TJ Brodie went down with a hand injury, Brett Kulak. He played in about 15 games for the Flames before Brodie came back, and he was really steady back there. Played third pairing with Derek Englund. And the Flames were just an awful team in October 2015, and Brett Kulak actually held his own. He played with Englund, and they were, arguably the best pair on the ice. They had the least amount of ice time, but they were on the ice for the least amount of goals scored. So you got to think that Kulak, he's calm, he's relaxed, and he can play at the NHL levels. So he'll push hard for a spot, but I think Wotherspoon's going to get every opportunity to steal that spot away from him. So we'll see what happens. Now, just recapping everything, Giordano and Brodie will stay together on that top pairing. Giordano and Hamilton were experimented last year when Brodie went on the shelf. Didn't work at all. It was absolutely horrendous. So TJ Brodie and Mark Giordano are going to stay together as that formidable duo up front on our D. Second pairing, Yoki Paka and Hamilton. Yoki Paka, a smooth skater. He'll fit in nicely with Hamilton. Those guys will complement each other well in the second pairing. Two young guys, lots of upside. That's a solid top four in my opinion. And Yoki Paka is a top four defenseman. He played with the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars were a first place team for the majority of the season last year in the Central Division. So Yoki Paka, no stranger to playing on a good team and showing that he's capable of playing at that level. Now, the third pairing, that's where it gets interesting, as I was talking about. Now, Dennis Wideman, this offseason still has about 6 or 7 weeks to go before, training camp is just around the corner. And, teams are still trying to, fill in a few pieces. Dennis Wideman, he does have the ability to put up points, score a few goals in the power play. But, you're not going to get much out of him defensively. There's a lot of teams out there that are, their defense is pretty garbage. First being the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the Edmonton Oilers, they don't have any right-handed shots in their blue line. Dennis Wideman, a right-handed shot. Now, he's absolutely garbage defensively, but he's above average offensively. That's the reality with Wideman. And the Oilers, they may want to pick him up. They may want to help their power play with this guy. He does have a decent shot. In the 2014-15 season, Wideman was a 15 goal scorer for the Flames on D. So, not all hope is lost. I don't know how his mindset is heading into the next season after everything that happened to him. But, if you could chip him off to the Oilers, there's also teams like Carolina who need a little bit of experience. You got a pretty young D-core. The Islanders as well, they're looking for some help on their power play. It's pretty weak. So, you look at teams like that, and there's a few fits out there. Now, obviously, unloading his $5.25 million a year contract, that's going to be tough. Now, no team's going to want to take on that huge salary, and I don't blame him, quite frankly. He's grossly overpaid. But what you can do now in this new world of the NHL, you can retain half of his salary. So if the Flames could retain half of his salary, his trade value goes up significantly. A team will take on a guy like Wideman for 2.5, 2.7-ish million a year, given if they believe he can produce 30 to 40, 25 to 40 points as a defenseman, chipping in an offensive role and giving some power play time. So it'll be interesting to see if Brad can work a deal and ship him out of town. So we'll find out. Schmid, he'll be... there's no official update. It's kind of frustrating for living. Without an update on his status, the Flames can't do a whole lot on the blue line. But, if I would have to guess, this guy's going to start the year on long-term injured reserve, which will give the Flames an extra spot for a young guy to come up, or even if they want to sign a free agent defenseman at a really cheap deal. So we'll find out what Schmid's status is, but I believe he'll be on long-term injured reserve. Nakladal, as I mentioned before, I really hope he's re-signed. I don't think he'll be that expensive. I think he'll have a cheap contract, which will really help the Flames. This guy showed he can play at the NHL level. He was adjusting to the North American game quite well. And hopefully we can figure something out there, and we'll find out if Wideman is shipped out of town. A couple of guys I look at with free agency, there's been rumors out there that Brad wants to bring in another left-handed defenseman. Now, there's guys like Luke Shen out there, stay-at-home defenseman, added depth. You're wondering if he could come cheap. Matt Bartkowski, a guy who the Flames almost acquired from the Bruins if Iginla went there in 2013 when he was traded. Guys like that, you could bring him in for cheap. Also I was looking at a list of a few guys here. Dennis Seidenberg, maybe even worth a gamble. You just want some added depth if you want this team to really push for a playoff spot. But, with that being said, I do think they can do it even without adding another guy. I believe that their young prospects are good enough. Their top four is pretty remarkable. And Englund, you're going to get a lot from Englund. His value, he's a little overpaid, but he works hard, and he'll give you what you expect. A guy who battles and does his best to keep the puck out of the net. That's the book on defensemen now. And I'm going to go into the goalies here quite shortly, just to take a quick break. Okay, we're back with goalies now to wrap up today's episode. Now, the Flames last season had the worst goaltending in the NHL by far, with Kari Ramo, Joni Ordio, and Jonas Hiller. They were just disgustingly bad. Now, that really hurt the Flames. The Flames missed the playoffs by 10 points, which equates to 5 wins. If you had a better goaltending tandem, you wonder where they'd be. It wasn't just the goaltending last year. The Flames were not very good as a whole, but the goaltending played a big part, especially in their start to the season, which was absolutely awful. But the Flames, they did what, a lot of fans wanted them to do, but I think they really exceeded expectations out there. They got a true number one goalie in Brian Elliott. Now, Brian Elliott, he's played last 4 seasons with the St. Louis Blues, and he's been great for the St. Louis Blues. Brian Elliott, since the 2011-2012 season, has been ranked second in the NHL in save percentage. Now, what does that tell you? It doesn't just mean he's playing on a good team. Save percentage is how many saves you make and how many shots you face. Now, it doesn't just equate to, he plays on St. Louis, he didn't have to work that hard. No, you know what? He stopped the majority of the pucks he faced. So that's great to see. Number 2 since the 2011-2012 season in all the NHL. So great pickup there for the Flames. He's got a steal of a contract. He's only paid $2.7 million a season. Now, that's quite something for an NHL goalie. Obviously he's got 1 year left in his contract though, and he's going to be looking for a huge raise, which the Flames are well aware of. Now, the best thing with this is, he's going to have to earn that raise. He's going to have to show that, I am worth $5 million a year. And the Flames are in a position where they're going to have to decide if he's the guy for the future or not. There's a few names out there next season. Ben Bishop's going to be a free agent, and he's another guy the Flames were interested in. And it'll be interesting to see if the Flames believe Elliott's the guy, or if they want to go after Ben Bishop, who's a few years younger and also has a lot of upside. Their backup, a local guy, Chad Johnson, Calgary boy, grew up playing in Calgary, played for the Bull Valley Hockey Association and the Calgary Buffaloes. Chad Johnson has been a career backup his whole career. He's bounced around from a lot of teams. Last year though, he was in Buffalo playing for the Sabres. And he basically became the starting goalie after their Robin Lehner went down with an injury early on. Chad Johnson, he played in over 40 games with the Sabres. Posted a winning record and a really quality goals against average and save percentage. He had 22 wins last year on a Buffalo Sabres team that was near the bottom of the standings, which is pretty impressive for a guy. A guy who's not really known as a starter around the league. So pretty impressive. This guy's motivated. He's been on record saying he wants something long term. He wants to find a place to play for more than 1 year at a time. So he's going to work hard, and he's not just settling in for the backup role. He's going to show that maybe I can deserve a starting chance. And I don't think he'll play 10 games a year. I think he'll play at least 30 games for the Flames in this coming season. So he's going to push Brian Elliott, and it's going to be a good competition in the crease for the Flames, and they're going to have a lot of stability in between the blue paint this year. So Flames went from a D- in goaltending to basically an A. So we got a lot to look forward to, and we don't have to watch games anymore where you're watching all of a sudden the puck's in the back of the net because you want to see they're let in the floater from center ice. So that's just not going to happen with these two guys in net. So that's good to see. Question is Brian Elliott a true number one goalie? I believe he is. He's never played a full season. Obviously splitting the duties in St. Louis with Jake Allen the last few years. He's never had a chance to play, the full schedule of a starting goalie. But, I don't think that's going to bother him too much, stepping in and playing a full schedule, because he's a calm guy, he's relaxed, he's a battler. He's got a little bit of an attitude and a temper when things aren't going his way, so I think he wants to stop the puck. That's the bottom line. He likes facing shots, he likes stopping the puck. Even in practice, he's battling out there. His teammate scores on him. He's pissed off at his teammate for scoring on him. So this guy, he's gonna really compete out there for the Flames. Chad Johnson. Now you may think, oh, who's this guy? Well, he's bounced around like I said, but you really dive into his stats and you look at this guy, and his numbers are excellent. He's had shitty situations. Not playing on strong teams, brought in as a backup, and he's done quite well for himself. He's worked hard. He's trying to get something long term. He wants his family to have a home more than 1 year at a time. He's got a few young kids. So he's from Calgary. And what better way to show the management that this guy, he's pretty good. So we're as a Flames fan here, I'm expecting a lot out of Chad Johnson. So excited to see. Next in line for the Flames goalies. Now there's a lot of talk out there that this tandem's going to be short-lived. We got John Goalies coming up, a really highly touted goalie prospect. That may be fair, but you got to forget John Goalies this year. He was out basically all year. He had to get hip replacement surgery, and that's a little bit of a concern for a guy as young as he is. John Goalies, an American goalie. Really impressive. Played a lot of the under 18s and World Junior teams for the United States. And John Goalies, he's a good goalie. He's got really good numbers, and he's big. Takes up a lot of nets, so that's good to see. But he lost a year of development last year. He wasn't able to play in the AHL. He lost that year, so he's a year behind now in development. Which, based on this, I don't think he'll be NHL ready next year. I think he's at least 2 years away, if not 3. And that gives the Flames a few decisions to make. Do they sign Brian Elliott long term after this coming season if he has a really good year? Or do they go after a big fish like Ben Bishop in the following off-season market? That's the question you have to decide, because I don't think Goalies is quite there yet in his development. A couple other guys, Mason McDonald, the Canadian kid, played in the World Junior team here for Canada, which really did disappoint over in Finland this year. They went out in the quarterfinals, and it was pretty awful performance by the Canadian junior boys. And McDonald wasn't that good either, and that's not the whole book on him. He was inconsistent, I thought, in the QMJHL. He plays for the Charlottetown Islanders. Had a rough start to the year, but he really battled back and had some good numbers towards the end and had a decent playoff run with the Islanders there. Next couple guys in line, I have our recently drafted second round draft pick from the London Knights, Tyler Parsons, the starting goalie of the London Knights, who won the Memorial Cup and the Ontario Hockey League title this past season. This guy, he's confident. He wants it. He's determined to show that he's going to be an NHL goalie one day. And this guy's a pretty good pick for the Flames. I think he was the second highest ranked goalie on TSN's list of prospects. So the Flames did well to nab this guy in the second round from the London Knights, and he'll be good in the future. Last guy I'm going to talk about, David Rittich. Now this guy, he was signed over from the Czech Republic. Big body, takes up a lot of net. Flames looking to get a lot of size in that, which is never a bad thing, as you see the goaltenders nowadays, they're huge. David Rittich here, he came over, played in the development camp a couple weeks ago over at Winsport Arenas. Now, a lot of guys were saying, oh, he's a little raw, he's got a lot of work to do. You got to be patient with a guy like this. This guy plays over in the Czech Republic. It's a little bit of a different game over there. Bigger ice surface. The angles are a little bit different for a goalie playing over there compared to North America, where the ice is smaller. So a little bit of an adjustment period, but this guy, he's really athletic. He moves well on net, and that's all you can ask for a young guy. He'll probably play in the ECHL this year, so it gives him a nice year of adjusting to North American hockey, and his development will continue forward. It's a nice signing, a little bit of depth in the blue paint for the Flames. So, that's the recap on the goalies. Just going forward, one final note. We have Flames in net. This is a trial season. We got Brian Elliott. He's not signed more than 1 year. Chad Johnson's on a 1-year deal as well. So it's another trial season for the Flames. Elliott has every opportunity to earn a contract long-term with the Flames after this coming season. And a pay raise will be coming if the Flames really like him. And the same goes for Chad Johnson. Can he ink a couple year deal after this coming season if he plays well? We'll find out there. But it's an interesting point. The Flames, Ben Bishop's available next year. Ben Bishop's a free agent if he doesn't re-sign with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ben Bishop's out there. They wanted him. They couldn't get him. So, it comes down to that. Can Elliott earn that contract? We'll find out, and it's going to be fun to watch. That's all for today's episode, fans. Tune in. Yeah, next couple days from now, we'll have another episode for you, and thanks for tuning in today. We're done.